Hello, everyone. If you like what I'm doing here, please consider subscribing, liking, and commenting. It would really help the channel out quite a bit. Thank you very much.
You're twice as sure with two great names, Frigidaire and General Motors. Frigidaire presents Hollywood Star Time. Each week at this time, Frigidaire brings you radio versions of Hollywood's finest motion pictures. Today you will hear Gene Tierney, Clifton Webb, and William Ike in the radio presentation of the exciting psychological mystery drama, Laura. Originally produced and directed for 20th Century Fox by Otto Preminger, Laura has just been voted 6th in the 1945 poll of the nation's film critics. Gene Tierney is currently appearing with Cornell Wilde and Gene Crane in the 20th Century Fox Technicolor production of Leave Her to Heaven. In just a few moments, Laura. You're twice as sure with two great names, Frigidaire and General Motors. Frigidaire, the greatest name in refrigeration, is made only by General Motors. And it's this association of experience with experience, of skill with skill, that makes Frigidaire America's favorite refrigerator today. The 7 million Frigidaires built and sold are the best proof of Frigidaire's outstanding record of dependability, of lasting satisfaction. For back of every great refrigeration principle pioneered by Frigidaire, back of every exciting new Frigidaire feature, back of every exclusive Frigidaire advantage is one all-important purpose: to keep food good to eat. Remember this when you choose your new refrigerator. Remember the record of millions of Frigidaires and millions of American kitchens. And remember, you're twice as sure with two great names. For Frigidaire is made only by General Motors. And now we present Laura, starring Gene Tierney, William Ike, and Clifton Webb, with another brilliant musical score conceived and conducted by Alfred Newman.
I shall never forget the weekend Laura died. For with Laura's tragic death, I was alone. Alone with my crowding, poignant memories. Memories soon to be elbowed and jostled by the crudities of the police. There was one detective in particular, Mark McPherson, who called all women dames, asking his brutal questions about a superb woman like Laura.
Were you in love with Laura Hunt?
Was I in love with Laura Hunt? Everyone who knew her was in love with Laura Hunt. Was McPherson ever in love at all?
A dame in Washington Heights once got a fox fur out of me.
And when I showed him Laura's portrait in her exquisite apartment.
Not bad.
Not bad. And even as he gazed at the portrait of a dead woman, he had begun to fall in love with her. Waldo Lydecker was the only one who really knew her. Knew her as the perfect woman she became. Knew her as the eager young girl who came to my table at the Algonquin Hotel 5 years ago. She wanted my endorsement of a fountain pen her advertising company was campaigning for.
I know this isn't the usual way to undertake things like this, Mr. Lydecker, but... well, I know my company will be glad to pay you $5,000 if you will endorse the Wallace Flow-Right fountain pen.
Oh, indeed? And whose idea was this?
Mine.
Young woman, you seem to be completely disregarding something more important than your career.
What?
My lunch.
Do you really believe that?
Utterly.
I never heard of anything so selfish. But you write about people with such real sentiment and understanding.
Sentiment comes easily at 50 cents a word.
that's really the way you feel, you must be very lonely.
You begin to bore me.
You poor man. I'm very sorry for you. Good day.
Oh, wait. Just a moment, please.
Well?
Ordinarily, I am not without a heart. You caught me at a very difficult moment. I want to apologize.
Your apology is accepted. Good day, Mr. Lyder.
Surely not before I've endorsed that fountain pen for you. Laura's career began with my endorsement of the pen. I secured other endorsements for her. Through me, she met everyone, and she captivated them all. Naturally, men fell in love with her. But I always found their weaknesses and exposed to ridicule these men who were so unworthy of her. Then one night, her aunt, Anne Treadwell, gave a party. An admirer of Mrs. Treadwell was there, a Shelby carpenter. Worthless, affected, but with a certain pasty charm about him. Laura got him his first serious job in years in the art department of the advertising company for which she worked.
Consider, Laura, my magnum opus, the best thing I ever drew for Bulletin Company.
It's very good, Shelby. Who's the model?
Girl named Diane Redfern. You hired her last week.
Oh, yes.
Now then, how about lots of lunch, moon of my delight? I'm starved.
Laura, what about this dubious Shelby carpenter fellow?
Yes, Waldo. I ought to tell you now. Shelby and I are going to be married next week.
Are you? And do you know that he's running around with a model from your own office? Her name is Diane Redfern.
Waldo, I won't let you break him down as you did the others.
I believe you presented Shelby with a rather valuable cigarette case on his last birthday.
What of it?
Is this it?
Where did you get it?
From the pawn shop where Diane Redfern pawned it after Shelby presented it to her.
I don't believe it.
Shall we face him with the facts? He's dining with your aunt, Anne Treadwell. An older flame of his. It was all true, of course. Shelby could deny nothing. Laura was going to have dinner with me Friday night to tell me if she had decided to break off her engagement with him. Instead...
Hello, Waldo. I'm frightfully sorry, but I called to tell you that I can't have dinner with you Friday night. I'm going to the country for a few days to think this thing out. I'll call you when I get back. Goodbye, Waldo.
Friday afternoon, Laura had lunch with Diane Redfern. Friday night, Laura did not dine with me. Friday night, Laura Hunt lay dead in her lovely apartment. And then began all the obscene business of the police and this Mark McPherson. I told him all I knew, of course.
You say that Shelby Carpenter had been an admirer of Anne Treadwell's before her niece Laura came along.
Yes. And if you're going over to talk to Anne, may I go along?
What for?
Murder is my favorite crime. I write about it regularly.
You're on the list of suspects yourself, you know.
Good. Please ask me some more questions.
Were you in love with Laura Hunt?
Everyone who knew her was in love with Laura Hunt.
Was she in love with you?
She thought me the kindest, the gentlest, the most sympathetic man in the world.
Were you?
Let me put it this way. I should be sincerely sorry to see my neighbor's children devoured by wolves. Shall we go to Anne Treadwell's?
Mrs. Treadwell, you were in love with Shelby Carpenter, weren't you?
No, I'm fond of Shelby, that's all. Everybody is.
I'm not. I'll be hanged if I am.
Shelby went to the concert Friday night. Did you go with him?
No.
Why not?
He didn't ask me. He went alone.
Oh, Anne.
Oh, do come in, Shelby, darling.
Oh, how amazing to find you here, Shelby, darling.
What's up, Anne?
Shelby, this is Lieutenant McPherson.
How do you do, Lieutenant?
I'm at your disposal. I'm quite as anxious as you are to find out who killed Laura. See, we were to be married Thursday, you know. No, he doesn't know. And neither do you or anyone else alive. She hadn't made up her mind.
Oh, stop it, Waldo. Stop quarreling over a dead woman. Forgive us, Lieutenant.
Mr. Carpenter, do you have a key to Laura Hunt's apartment?
I think there's an extra one in her apartment.
Yeah? Well, let's go up there.
We stood in the open door of Laura's apartment. There stood the beautiful grandfather's clock I had given her. Shelby went into the bedroom to find the key. McPherson, as unfeeling as ever, stood in the doorway, reconstructing the crime.
The doorbell rang. She opened the door and got both barrels of a shotgun right in the face. She fell here.
Why did the police have to photograph her in that horrible condition?
When the dame gets killed, she doesn't worry about her looks.
Will you stop calling her a dame? Look around you. Is this the home of a dame? Look at her portrait over the fireplace.
Not bad.
Your eyes can't leave her.
You told me to look, didn't you?
McPherson, have you ever been in love?
A dame in Washington Heights once got a fox fur out of me.
Sure enough, Lieutenant. I found the key in Laura's dresser drawer.
You know, Carpenter, the police are very fussy about their inventories. That key wasn't there yesterday.
Oh, then it's made a recent reappearance.
You put it there, Carpenter, didn't you?
Well, you see...
Well, never mind. That's enough. But I'll be seeing you.
Are you leaving us, McPherson?
Oh.
I see. Come, Carpenter. We are leaving McPherson. That night and the next, I contrived to walk past Laura's house. Both times, lights were burning in the windows. Mark McPherson was up there, reading her diary, her letters, handling the things she had touched, reliving her life in her apartment. I resented it all bitterly. Besides, her attorney had told me something that sent me through the rain quite late the second night. To walk in on McPherson without knocking. McPherson, have you sublet this apartment? You're here enough to pay rent.
Any objections?
Yes. And what's this about your offering Laura's attorney $1,000 for her portrait?
That's my business.
McPherson, does it strike you that you're acting very strangely? It's a wonder you don't come here like a suitor with roses and a box of candy. Drugstore candy, of course.
Why don't you go home?
You better take care, McPherson, or you'll end up in a psychiatric ward. I don't think they've ever had a patient who fell in love with a corpse. Good night, McPherson. Or rather, by my clock, which I shall presently reclaim. Good morning.
Well, who are you?
Huh?
What are you doing here?
It's impossible.
What are you doing here? I'm going to call the police.
Well, I'm the police. You're Laura. You're alive.
In a few moments, Frigid Air will bring you the second act of Laura, starring Gene Tierney, Clifton Webb, and William Ice. Frigid Air is the first name you think of in refrigeration. Down through the years, Frigid Air scientists and engineers have constantly worked to give you a better, easier way to keep foods good to eat. One of their outstanding achievements is Cold Wall. This original Frigidaire principle is considered the greatest advancement in food keeping in the past quarter century. For cold wall is an entirely new method of refrigeration. It cools through the walls of the refrigerator instead of the conventional freezer on the inside of the cabinet. But cold wall does far more than that. It keeps food moist, colorful, appetizing. It prevents drying out, preserves precious vitamins, guards against wilting and shrinking. With cold wall, you can even store foods uncovered without their drying out, without the risk of having one food pick up an odor from another. And you get cold wall only in the Frigidaire refrigerator. Remember this example of engineering skill when you choose your new refrigerator. Remember the record of dependability of the 7 million Frigidaires built and sold. And remember, you're twice as sure with 2 great names. For Frigidaire is made only by General Motors. We continue with the Hollywood Star Time presentation of Laura, starring Gene Tierney, Clifton Webb, and William Ike. Miss Tierney and Mr. Webb will soon appear in Darrell F. Zanuck's forthcoming production of Somerset Maugham's novel, The Razor's Edge. And now, Act 2 of Laura. Laura Hunt has returned to her New York apartment after 4 days' absence to find Detective Lieutenant Mark McPherson there, stunned at her return, for McPherson is there to investigate her murder and to find her killers.
A murder? In my apartment?
Someone was murdered in this room Friday night.
Oh.
Any idea who it was?
No.
Who had an extra key to your apartment?
Nobody.
Well, you better take off those wet clothes, or you'll catch cold.
Yes. What are you going to do now?
Find out who was murdered, then find the murderer.
Yes. I won't be long.
You were going to marry Shelby Carpenter this week, weren't you?
Yes.
This Thursday, isn't it? Miss Hunt. Miss Hunt!
Lieutenant McPherson.
I'd begun to be worried about you.
I found this dress hanging in my closet.
Well?
It isn't mine. It belongs to one of the models at our office, Diane Redfern.
Look, why didn't you tell me the truth? Shelby Carpenter had a key to this apartment.
He didn't.
How else could he have brought the girl to your place?
You don't know that he brought her. You only assume it.
You love this fella so much you'll risk your own safety to protect him?
My safety? You suspect me.
Well, the police will consider Diane Redfern as your rival. You went to the country to make up your mind about marrying Shelby. What was your decision?
I'm not going to marry.
Smart girl.
Is there anything else?
Oh, I'll see you in the morning. Don't leave the house and don't telephone.
Am I under arrest?
No, but if anything happened to you this time, I wouldn't like it. Good night.
Hello?
Shelby, it's me, Laura.
Don't talk on the phone. Meet me right away in front of my hotel.
Good morning, Lieutenant.
Morning.
Still raining, I see.
I hope you didn't get all wet again when you went out last night to meet Shelby.
So, you tapped my telephone.
All's fair in love and homicide.
I certainly had to let my fiancé know I was alive.
So it's on again with Shelby, is it?
Yes.
Well, it'll interest you to know that after you parted with him last night, I trailed him to your country house.
All is fair.
I found him trying to bury a shotgun belonging to you. It had recently been fired.
Maybe I hunt rabbits.
Yeah. Well, Shelby admitted he brought Diane Redfern up here Friday night to talk things over and break up their affair. He said he found a duplicate key in your office. They talked for 3 hours, and the doorbell rang. Diane went to the door. There was a silence, and a tremendous explosion. There it was. How does that check with whatever yarn he told you?
He told me the same story.
Laura, for heaven's sake, tell the truth. Did you kill Diane Redfern?
No.
Then why is it on again with Shelby? Because he convinced you last night that if you broke off now, people would be sure one of you was guilty, isn't that so?
Yes.
Why are you protecting him? Are you in love with him?
I don't see how I ever could have been.
Oh, that's all I wanted to hear.
Couldn't you have found out some easier way?
But still, it's Lydecker. I sent for him.
Oh, Mark, it's brutal.
All right, come in.
I came in and I saw her, Laura. Lovely, bewildered, apologetic, half smiling. Lovely. My head rang and grew thick. A scarlet wave mounted through my body and burst into my brain. The room quivered and broke apart as I felt myself going down. Falling, going down.
Waldo, are you all right?
Oh, yes. Yes, my dear. Forgive me. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I needed your reaction, Lydecker.
But I warned you, Mark.
Mark?
Laura Hunt wasn't killed.
Obviously.
It was Diane Redfern. Perhaps by mistake.
So it's Mark, eh? Laura, this familiarity. You're not being taken in by this callous manhunter.
I'm not being taken in, Waldo.
I'm not sure. It's the same obvious pattern, Laura. If a person wasn't muscular and handsome in a cheap sort of way, you would understand him. You'd see through him.
And if you weren't broken down and obsolete in an expensive sort of way, we could break a lot of furniture together, Lydecker.
Mark, please.
He calls women dames. A dame in Washington Heights once got a fox fur out of him. His very words.
Waldo, I mean to be as kind about this as I know how. But I must tell you, you're the one who follows the same obvious pattern. You've mocked and ridiculed every man who ever cared for me. The last one was Shelby, and now...
Laura,
I don't think we should see one another again, Waldo.
Very well, Laura. I'm sure you won't care to have any reminder of me to spoil what promises to be a disgustingly earthy relationship. I'll have my clock picked up tomorrow. Goodbye, Laura.
He and his clock. If he wants it, why doesn't he want his other gifts returned? Laura, does the bottom of that clock open up?
I don't know. Why?
Well, come on, let's see if it does.
Suppose it does.
All I need now is a gun. Let's see. Here it comes. It's opening. Better stand away, Laura. Huh. That's it. Look, a sawed-off double-barreled shotgun.
Oh, no.
Sure, can't you see, Laura? The doorbell rang. Diane Redfern came to the door in your dressing gown. The room was dark. Waldo assumed it was you and fired both barrels in her face. If he couldn't have you, he wanted to make sure no one else could have you either. When Shelby dashed downstairs, Waldo went back and hid the shotgun on the clock. And that's the story, Laura.
Waldo Lydecker, a murderer. Oh, Mark, it makes me ill.
Better lie down in your room. If the doorbell rings, don't answer.
What are you going to do?
Arrest Waldo Lydecker for murder.
But I am standing outside Laura's door, my ear pressed to the panel, and I hear everything. He knows. The fool has stumbled on the truth. Well, then, now that we have come to this, and Laura is alone inside, I know what there's left to do. There is the servants' entrance, leading into her hallway, to the clock, to the gun. Yes, Laura.
Oh, Waldo, put that down, gun.
The best part of me, that's what you are.
You've taken one life already, please.
Do you think I'm going to leave you to the vulgar pawing of a second-rate detective who thinks you're a dame? No, Laura. Not in a million years.
Waldo, in heaven's name, wait.
No.
Listen to me.
No.
No, I won't let you.
Now you cling to me. Now you embrace me. But it's no use, Laura.
Waldo, don't.
It's no use.
Waldo, please, put that gun down.
You won't make me miss twice, Laura. Laura!
Mark, don't. Oh, Waldo.
Don't, Laura. Don't go near him. The guard outside said he hadn't seen Lydecker come out. It worried me, and I came back.
They are nothing. The weeping and the laughter, love, desire. Goodbye, my dear. Forgive me, Laura. But I loved you.
Well, he's gone.
I'm sorry, Walter. I accept your apology. Come on. We'd better go.
Thanks to Gene Tierney, Clifton Webb, and William Ife for a splendid performance. In just a moment, they'll be back. Hollywood Star Time is presented each week at this time with the best wishes of your Frigidaire dealer, who invites you to come in and learn about the famous line of Frigidaire home appliances. Electric refrigerators, electric ranges, electric water heaters, home freezers, and a wide variety of refrigerating and air conditioning equipment for homes, farms, stores, offices, and factories. Remember, Frigidaire is made only by General Motors. Here now are our guests. Didn't I hear, Miss Tierney, that you just returned to Hollywood from the East?
Yes, Mr. Niles. I spent the Christmas holidays in New York. The studio asked me to come back and do this radio program, so I took a plane a few days ago, and here I am. But did you hear the grand news about Clifton Webb?
I thought Mr. Webb seemed in especially good spirits today.
Well, let me assure you, Wendell, it's rather difficult to pretend to be passive when I must admit I'm delighted.
You see, Wendell, Clifton Webb was just nominated for the 1945 Critics Award for his brilliant portrayal of Waldo Lydecker in Laura.
Well, I think Clifton Webb deserves a round of applause.
Bill Ife is right. Our respects, Mr. Webb.
Thank you all very much. And I must say I've enjoyed doing this radio broadcast immensely. Gene and Bill and I were chatting just before the show went on. And I can assure you we'll all be at our radios next week at the same time to hear John Payne and Linda Darnell in the Hollywood Star Time production of that delightful comedy, Daytime Wife. And so, for the three of us, I'll say goodbye for now.
Today's radio adaptation of Laura was written by Milton Geiger, and the entire production was under the direction of Robert L. Redd. This is Wendell Niles speaking for Frigidaire, made only by General Motors. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.